Welcome to our webinar. My name is Gerhard Gschwandtner, and I have the pleasure of working with a very interesting, very smart group of people. We talk about your new revenue engine, why artificial intelligence is the future of sales. And it is my great pleasure to introduce all the participants. First, we have Nardin. She is the founder and president of Smart Selling Tools. And we all need to be smart when it comes to selling tools. Then we have Matt Conway. He's the president of Companybook. Roger Ciliberto. He is senior vice president of Companybook. Then we have Peter Borden. He is VP Strategic Sales and Marketing with the General Tool Company. And Eamonn Eamonn. He is the principal of Inside Sales Solutions. And you know how important inside sales is today. But now I'd like to kick it off and have a little fireside chat with Nancy Nardin about the role of artificial intelligence in sales. Isn't artificial intelligence kind of scary sounding?
It is scary sounding for sure, and I think more than that, people wonder, why do I even need it? I mean, it's scary sounding, and I have smart salespeople, and we're getting along okay doing what we're doing, so why do I even need it?
Yeah, what's wrong with natural intelligence, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what is artificial intelligence? I mean, I think that's the big question.
Right.
Which I guess we're going to be talking about.
Well, I think that maybe we should just jump in the pool and say, what does artificial intelligence do right now for companies all across the globe? Because everybody's talking about it. Just recently, Jeff Bezos talked about it, saying that Amazon has over 1,000 engineers trained in artificial intelligence, and he says all the major tech companies will do that. We're on the edge of a golden era, and with Amazon.com, you have the intelligence showing directly. It stares in your face when you buy a book and say, you may also be interested in this. So they predict purchasing habits. They have an enormous data warehouse that they have aggregated so they can instantly share information when they see trigger events happening on their website.
And here's the thing, is AI can be used for all kinds of things. So it's not like AI is just one thing. So AI, that's what makes it difficult to think about how could we use it. Well, it could be permeated throughout different functionalities in the sales organization.
And you're right. I have already seen some tools because there are already about 600 companies offering different AI services. And one of them, is IBM. The CEO for IBM, Virginia Romney, says there's no doubt in my mind that cognitive computing will impact every decision in the next 5 years. And IBM already has tools available for sales organizations where they can analyze big data and deliver sort of what they call a cognitive stream of information to the desktop of a salesperson. There's a small AI company in San Francisco that has a technology that records the conversation between buyer and seller and instantly delivers it to the sales manager's desk, and then they can take that aggregate data and take the best practices of A players and then feed those best practices in real time to the B players. So that the B players can sound like A players by having the script fed to them as the conversation goes on with the buyer. Isn't that amazing?
It really is amazing. What I find is that a lot of our customers and followers of our website ask us, well, I mean, there's so many tools out there. Where do I start? And why would I even need AI? And my answer to that is that you can't afford not to have AI because it's just too expensive. Let's see, Accenture recently said that the amount of time or percentage of time that a sales rep actually spends selling is going down. It's not trending up. And so in their mind, that means that we've already reaped all the benefits out of productivity tools. But in my mind, that's actually the opposite. We have not yet reaped it. And the reason is, and the reason why we really need to focus on AI is because sales is really not a scalable business. The cost of sales, we've got to drive down. No one can really afford to get revenue at all, at all costs, just get revenue. We can't afford that. So we've got to figure out ways to make our salespeople free up their time for more selling, and that's what AI can actually help do.
Let's go back to your attempt to define AI and how it can be used for sales. My view is that software can look at a vast amount of data very, very quickly and sort it in a way that's helpful for us to analyze that data so they can condense it in real time. So one of the benefits are that I understand, the way I understand it is that you can quickly expand the addressable market by analyzing data. So you could, instead of saying, I'm reaching a $1 billion addressable market, all of a sudden you can expand it to $5 billion because the data that you don't see in the aggregate, if it's not sorted correctly, looks like there's not much of a market there. But when you use artificial intelligence, then you become aware that there are many more opportunities for your business. So if you want to expand your business, you better use AI and learn about it and not be afraid of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good example. And AI, I think what we have to do is we have to get rid of the fat in the sales process. And that's one of the things that AI does. And fat stands for fetching. Salespeople spend a lot of time fetching information, presentations, materials, sales assets, that sort of thing. We've got to be able to cut down on that. The other thing that the A in fat is just assessing and prioritizing. What is my total addressable market? Who should I be going after? What is my priority? And then the T is doing the tasks themselves. How can we remove some of that heavy lifting that the salespeople do and have information delivered to them rather than them having to actually go in and get it?
That's awesome. I like the fat analogy. We got to go on a diet so we can look smarter and harder. Now let's shift the conversation. Let's turn it over to Matt Conway, president of Companybook, and hear your side of the story.
Well, thank you, Gerhard. Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate the warm introduction, and welcome, beautiful people out there. Building on what you just said, Nancy and Gerhard, about AI, I think AI, a definition of terms, I think is very important. I think artificial intelligence means different things to different people, and I certainly, before getting into this space myself, I thought AI meant huge supercomputings in massive rooms being cooled, and it was beating people at chess and doing an enormous amount of data crunching. But in actual fact, most of you are carrying around artificial intelligence in your pocket right now on your Samsung device or your Apple device, and you don't even know it. So AI is here. It's amongst us. You're already reaping the rewards and the benefits of it, and I think we need to take a little bit of the fear factor out of it, that it's not big, scary, and taking over the world. It's tethered, and it's designed to make your life simpler and easier. Whether you're using Amazon's recommendation engine or Apple's Siri to schedule things. Next slide, please, Roger. So at Companybook, we've decided to apply AI basically to address that fundamental and perennial question that all sales executives and salespeople ask on a daily basis, which is basically, oh bleep, where the heck is my next deal coming from? So you know, having been in sales for all of my life, I know that I've woken up sweating in the morning many a time and thinking, okay, you know, how am I going to go and get that next opportunity? So I think there is both tactical and strategic applications of AI, and I think, you know, as Nancy you alluded to, with you know, one of the challenges that is out there as a sales executive who's looking to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of your sales force is, oh my goodness, there are so many tools out there. What do I possibly choose? So, you know, we're taking AI, and our clients will share with you, if we can apply AI in a simple and intuitive way to make salespeople's lives easier and to help increase the pipeline funnel velocity, good things are going to happen. And to your point, Nancy, I think one of the things that AI can do is it helps to automate a lot of the route, time-consuming and mundane tasks that actually we have to do, but we could be spending our time on much, you know, higher value activities, and you know, getting rid of all the drudgery of account research, news monitoring, and being able to find sales-ready or winnable opportunities much easier. Okay, Roger, would you advance the next slide, please? Okay, so, you know, I talked earlier, you know, we've had a tactical application of AI, and, you know, one of the challenges that our clients would share with the folks here on the call is that, you know, part of the problem from the tactical perspective is the fire hose of information that salespeople are asked to keep on top of on a daily basis, you know, whether it's multiple sources like Google alerts or trade press, trade shows, newsletters, and more. It's simply impossible to do. And so they're missing out on sales opportunities that, if they were made aware of them and they were served to them, they'd be able to go for. So, you know, Roger, obviously you're a sales leader. Would you be kind enough to share with the audience some of the difficult challenges that sales reps face today, and how you're seeing AI helping to address those challenges that sales reps face from a tactical perspective?
Sure. Thanks, Matt. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, every day somebody, a salesperson, is waking up, and you know, thousands, if not millions, of sales reps are going into the office. They're picking up the phone. They're making the same phone calls to the same people, and they probably, for the most part, sound the same. So what a salesperson does is, or what they need, is a differentiator. They need to be able to make the call to the right companies, to the right people, and have something compelling to talk about, because it is very difficult to connect. If they're out there and they're using tools like Google, and they're using tools like data.com and LinkedIn, there's so much. It's like they're drinking from the fire hose that I think someone mentioned earlier. There's so much data, and it's hard to find those reasons to call and have a process in place where you can get to them quickly and you know, segment them. So leveraging something like AI allows you to you know, literally millions of different resources, find the information that you need. You know, maybe there's a management change, maybe it's a funding announcement, just for some examples there, and give you the talk track to sound different. Give you the talk track to maybe find a buy cycle, and you know, without leveraging artificial intelligence and leveraging a tool that can summarize all this information, you know, you're almost like you're spinning around and without direction. So leveraging artificial intelligence and tools that employ that will, you know, give you direction. It'll give you the reason to call, and I think most sales reps are really struggling with a reason to call people.
Perfect. So, Roger, thanks, mate. And if you could just advance to the next slide. I think we want to build on the statement that is on the slide right now, which is, you know, AI can make the market bigger. And so I want to dive into that a little bit. So in our work that we've been doing with sales organizations since 2010, you know, one of the things that we've become very aware of is that a lot of companies' go-to-market premise or go-to-market strategy is actually based on faulty data. they're going to market with what they believe is their total addressable market, but because of limitations of existing ways of segmenting and isolating target markets, they're missing potentially between 20 to 40% organic growth that they could be accruing rather naturally if they only really knew who their sweet spot ideal customers are. And I think, Gerhard, in a conversation that we were having the other day, I think your metaphor that you used so well was describing the application of AI to total addressable market is a little bit like your apple tree is your what you believe to be your total addressable market based on current knowledge or data, and yet when you apply AI to it, all of a sudden you see actually my apple tree is an orchard, and there's a hell of a lot more apples out there than I previously was aware of. And AI, to Nancy's point earlier, it can scale and it does it so fast. A very quick anecdote here. I was on the phone with a head of research at a leading manufacturing association, and he challenged me to isolate a particular market called copper bus bars, which I actually still don't even know what copper bus bars are. But within 10 seconds, I had isolated only 26 companies that were in that industry. And he said, Matt, that took me weeks to do that using other means. So we very, very quickly can increase both the efficiency and the effectiveness of what we call your true addressable market. You would be amazed how many companies that artificial intelligence can turn up for you that you never actually knew existed. Roger, you're having these conversations day in, day out with executives, CEOs, and presidents, and heads of sales, heads of marketing at companies, and you're wowing them with the potential of AI and uncovering customers that they knew nothing about. Would you be kind enough to take us through some examples?
Yeah, in using your point, I mean, the majority of companies out there, when they're trying to find the companies they want to sell to, are using SIC codes. They are using the North American industry codes. The great thing about artificial intelligence is this. It's as simple as this. It's a technology that is going out and reading millions and millions and millions of websites every single day. Nothing that you can replicate with offshore firms and things like that. But if we can define companies as they define themselves, and what I mean by that is, if we can define companies that do ERP based on the fact that they have the words ERP on their website like 50 times or something like that, you've now isolated a company that does ERP. There's multitude of examples of where companies are they're hard to find verticals. Whether that is e-commerce, whether that's copper bus bar, as you mentioned, or anything. I think when you start looking at verticals that are even more niche and more refined, AI becomes even more valuable. So what I'll do is, on my screen now, you're looking at a few just examples. What I'll do is I'll just show you some examples here, but I want to go into the product and live and show it to you live, because I think that's where the rubber meets the road. But again, ERP, very difficult to find. Copper bus bar, very difficult to find. I know we talked to a retailer recently that did yoga pants, for crying out loud. There's no SIC code for yoga pants, but leveraging AI, we were able to find companies that actually distribute yoga pants. So that became a their addressable market. So let me see if I can transition here. Just bear with me 1 second while I make the transition, try to make it as smooth as possible. And I want to show you the product live here. All right, so let's say that we wanted to leverage AI to find e-commerce companies, but we specifically wanted to focus on e-commerce companies in retail. So doing a search as simple as this will isolate the verticals where the word e-commerce and the word retail is being used most prevalently. And to the right, these are just different verticals where those words are being used on their websites. So if I went in here and I started looking at some of these, what you would see are retail locations, you know, Walmart obviously, where the word e-commerce is being used. So if you're an organization that sells to retail organizations that have e-commerce platforms, you've now isolated, you know, 97,960 or 97,672 organizations that are really your orchard. You know, you're finding the companies that might not necessarily have e-commerce as an SIC code or an NAICS code, because I don't believe it even exists, but here they are. Now, secondarily, you know, we talked to a company not too long ago where they were looking for click and collect. Again, a very difficult term to isolate a company. Now, if I type click and collect in here, again, leveraging AI, it is going out. You know, the bots are searching, they're reading all these websites, and they want to see where click and collect is being mentioned in press releases, in social media, and in websites. And again, we've isolated 1,105 companies. If my memory is right, when we talked to this organization, they thought there were about 300 companies that did this. Well, here's 1,105, and if I go in here again, you know, click and collect is a term where an individual would go and order something online and then go to the location and actually pick it up. And, you know, obviously, Toys R Us, GSI Commerce, you can see a lot of these organizations are mentioning click and collect on their site, and that's why these 1,105 companies have come to the forefront. So those are just a couple examples of how you could leverage AI and find the companies and find your total addressable market. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to bring in, I think, Pete Borden, or Matt, you can introduce Pete Borden and show you how practically how this is happening out there in the marketplace with companies actually leveraging the AI tool.
Yeah, so thank you, Roger, and I'm going to introduce Pete in just 1 second. I think Gerhard has a question here.
Yeah, I just want to make the audience aware that you have the ability to ask questions as they come to your mind, and I just want to read one question, which is Marcus is asking, can you filter by revenue? Good
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, all the typical features features of many of the databases out there, whether it's location, revenue, number of employees, all that information is available to you, and all that categorization, I should say, is available to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gerhard. So, you know, Roger, thank you for showing us that. I think, you know, one of the things that, customers who are using artificial intelligence, they would say that the AI is helping them to do a couple of things. One is it's from a strategic level, it's helping them uncover customers in their niches or segments or verticals today that they didn't know that they had, so it grows that true addressable market. And as your click and collect example there showed, Roger, the AI is helping companies to expand into adjacent verticals or new verticals and allow them to get there very quickly, and quite frankly getting an unfair advantage over competitive companies who are not leveraging AI. So I want to introduce you to Peter Borden. Peter is VP of Strategic Sales and Marketing for the General Tool Company, and Pete, you've been an early adopter of artificial intelligence. Would you be kind enough to share with the audience your experiences and why you decided to apply AI in your sales organization? Take it away, Pete.
Well, thanks, Matt. Let me start by supplying a little background about our company. We are a contract manufacturer, and we support Tier 1 companies, particularly in the defense and aerospace sectors. So, for example, General Dynamics, Northrop, Lockheed, Boeing, Raytheon, Pratt & Whitney, Rolls-Royce, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, SpaceX is another example. So although we have a limited number of customer names, many of these firms have dozens, if not hundreds, of divisions. and they might have 20 to 50,000 employees or more. And so there's somewhat of a labyrinth, and our task, our challenge is to try to discover new programs that fit our profile of high value-added manufacturing. So we need to try to work our way into these large firms. So Roger, if you'll go to the next slide, I'll just touch on a couple of things with our experience with AI and Companybook here. So as everyone knows, the most valuable commodity really is time. No one has enough. The buyers are impossible to reach, and we are caught in email and voicemail purgatory. So our need is to try to find new entry points, and we found that we can do this very quickly. So in addition to what am I going to sell next, or what am I going to sell today, what I think our guys really want is qualified prospects. So let me try to explain how we've been successful doing that. We are able to use the Companybook really as one platform which will allow us to do the following. Number one, track our competition. Number two, track our target customers. And we get all the news feeds and informations about new orders that they've received. We can set up triggering events. Are they building a new factory? Do they have a new VP of manufacturing whom we would need to contact? And of course, the search tool allows us to find new customers, and again, it's really in far less time. So the example that I have there, power generation, aircraft engine, carbon fiber, and defense contracts, these are areas that I would, or our team would search in, and so the verticals or the niches that Matt talked about are really things that we can find through these searches, and we can find companies that we haven't called on, and frankly, it's a little shocking. I think most salespeople feel they know their territory, they know their customers, and they're a little taken aback when they see this. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there are many different generations of sellers and buyers. I would describe myself as almost a dinosaur, having done this for a little while, but you've got 4 different generations in today's workplace, which is first time that's ever happened. And so people have different buying and selling styles. Years ago, of course, we just wanted to get on the airplane, get in the car, and go see somebody and build a relationship. But that is not the case. The buyers, the engineers don't want to see salespeople until the very end of the cycle. So we try to get in ahead of that. And what we're seeing is that the younger, more computer savvy, tech smart salespeople are teaching the older guys with this tool how to manipulate it and to save them a lot of time. So we've been very pleased how things have gone, and so whatever you want to call the AI, Google for sales or artificial intelligence, et cetera, I think my bottom line is it's certainly been successful for us. So happy to field any questions.
Well, it's Nancy. I'd like to jump in with a question, and that is, how have things changed for you? What does life look like now compared to what it used to look like before you started using Companybook and AI? What's the biggest difference?
Well, I think the typical scenario. So we don't have a large staff. We have half a dozen people doing this, but the typical scenario is that couple of deals have either gone away, or you get the order, then the next step is, what do I do to get the the next prospect. So salespeople would consult their CRM, their ACT, their database, or even a Rolodex, and start calling old contacts, which is really completely hit and miss. So the new way is that, for example, you look under aircraft engine parts. So if we're making a blisk or an impeller or a housing, we can look for that particular type of part and find a customer, and then we've got a story to say or a story to tell that, hey, we make these parts successfully. We think we can offer you some advantages to working with us, and get an audience much more quickly and readily, rather than really a shotgun approach, Nancy.
Okay.
So one last question for you, Pete, before we let you off the hook here, and we'll chat with Eamonn O'Connell at Inside Sales Solutions. You said something that intrigued me. You said, frankly, you were shocked. Can you just elaborate that on a little bit, and then we'll move on to Eamonn?
Well, again, so for example, there are a number of aerospace suppliers in certain parts of the country, and we're setting up a sales trip to go down and talk to 2 or 3 of our customers, potential customers, and so we said, well, let's see who else is there, and so there are, a couple dozen more. Well, do you know them? Do you know them? Well, let's do some research on them. I think we better start calling on them. So you have this continuity or this legacy that most people think they know their customers, know their territories, and that's certainly not the case.
Fabulous, Pete. Thank you. That's very, very helpful. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today, Pete. And we're going to, Roger, if you could advance to the next slide, I want to introduce Eamonn O'Connell from Inside Sales Solutions. I think this is going to be very, very interesting, as Eamonn's business is all about prospecting. So, Roger, can you advance the slide?
I'm trying.
You're trying. Good lad. Thank you very much. So if you just go back one slide, Eamonn, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself and Inside Sales Solutions?
Yeah, sure, Matt. Thank you very much. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eamonn O'Connell. I'm from a company called Inside Sales Solutions. Essentially, what we are, everyone, is we're a third-party inside sales and marketing company. So we're a specialized prospecting firm. We focus exclusively on the IT and technology sector. So we're putting our clients in front of senior executives, decision makers within the technology field. We're a niche player, so we only sit within the technology space, and we drive revenue for enterprise clients like NetApp and HP, IBM, to kind of name but a few, So for us, I suppose the kind of landscape and AI has kind of really kind of come to the fore over the course of the last few years. The demand generation space and sales development landscape has changed. Gone are the days of, that kind of calling up a prospect and, trying to get him on the phone and look to kind of book the appointment, the scattergun approach, if you like. The main challenges that our guys are kind of facing day in, day out is that prospects have, number one, become much more aware of the business landscape. As a result, our customers are really looking for us to provide them with that expertise and advice and become much more of a consultancy firm, if you like, get them in front of decision makers that have projects and budgets. And that's obviously become much more difficult as the industry has kind of moved forward. The reason being, as Pete has mentioned, decision makers are much harder to speak to these days. They're much more aware. They're much more business savvy when it comes to discussions with, prospectors like us, and they become much more selective on the appointments that they actually take as a result. Our guys here day in, day out, that the prospects that we're speaking to are really only going to have some time to talk if there's a business need. And that's kind of become a common trend right throughout any campaign that we kind of run within the kind of technology space. I suppose where AI comes in and where it's kind of helped us as a company, it's allowed us to kind of drill down a lot more on account selection for our clients. So we can really become more focused on the prospects that we're actually calling into. Really having a reason and a business need that we can solve for them, and such as maybe a prospect is looking for infrastructure or networking equipment around a new data center, or they're open up new remote locations that we can basically help them solve problems that they might have with the expansion of their company. And we also become more strategic on decision makers that we're actually kind of looking to speak to, So the verticals and the industries and decision makers that we're actually looking to kind of get on the phone, we can have much more intelligent conversations. We can be that kind of advice to them and look to kind of, as I say, once again, solve that kind of business need. And I think one of the kind of main things that we've kind of seen from AI, that a lot of other tools that we use doesn't really kind of give us, and that's that kind of real-time alerts and intelligence on prospects landscapes, buy-in cycles, even for inside sales solutions when we're actually prospecting into new accounts or new clients that we're kind of looking for. It allows us to kind of see what companies have VC funding, or what companies have actually been acquired by much larger technology giants. And as a result, we can become more focused. We can kind of leverage that when we speak to people on the phone. And as a result, really handpick our clients. And that's, I suppose, the real value of AI and Companybook as the industry has kind of moved forward.
Eamonn, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
I often get pushback that we can't just throw technology at every problem. And I agree, technology doesn't matter. It only matters to the extent that you can actually get better outcomes from using it. And organizations can't get better outcomes unless salespeople actually adopt it. And that's been a historic challenge for organizations. CRM is a point in is a clear point in that. So what did that adoption look like for your organization? Were your salespeople, did they at first think, gosh, here's another tool? How long did it take them to get it, and did they get it?
Yeah, it's a good question, Nancy, and it's obviously one of the key things that we kind of look at when we're rolling out a new tool to our sales team. We've got 50 plus people here that, once we actually try to adopt a kind of a new tool, there's always the kind of, eyes to the heaven as if this is just another tool that we're going to use and we'll use it for a few months and then it'll kind of fade out. With Companybook, it's been so user friendly, that our guys are basically in it day in, day out. So they would kind of really leverage it as much as our own internal CRM system. And as a result, they're basically cherry picking the people that they actually need to speak to. They're becoming much more of a sharp shooter, if you like, Nancy, when they're actually speaking and prospecting into decision makers within the accounts that they're kind of looking for. And as a result, it's allowed us to kind of close out campaigns much quicker. We can give our clients a much greater standard of appointment, which is obviously what they're kind of looking for. And ultimately, show ROI to, marketing folks where, hopefully they can see value in what we're doing. And that's really what it's all about.
This is Gerhard. I have a question for you too, Eamonn, that was asked by one of our listeners. And the attendee is asking about using AI throughout the buying cycle once they have shown initial interest versus when just looking for leads. Does that make sense? Can you use it for other apps, usage scenarios other than lead search? How would it be used throughout the buying cycle?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a good question, Gerhard. You know, for us, you know, we kind of do the full gamut when it comes to kind of inside sales. So, you know, it's used by our guys when it comes to appointment setting, so finding kind of decision makers and influencers within their kind of target accounts. We also use it for some of the other services that we're actually providing. So for example, I'll kind of use one particular scenario. You know, a lot of our clients are actually coming to us now and looking for us to kind of build databases, give them email addresses, direct lines, and become more focused on verticals that they actually want to get into. As a result, Companybook has allowed us to be very strategic in I suppose more importantly, more detailed when it actually comes to building databases for our clients. So it allows us to kind of, you know, turn those around much quicker. As a result, our clients have come back to us much more when it comes to the aspect of database building, where they're just relying on us to provide them with accurate and up-to-date information where they can actually feed it out to their sales team, and then they basically do the prospecting.
And Gerhard and Eamonn, if I could just add to that, I think the you know, the applications of AI to, you know, the pre-CRM or real top of the funnel are fairly clear. I think in terms of, you know, where AI can be used in other stages of the sales cycle, whether it's to, you know, from a relationship management standpoint, the ability to you know, have key insights, news, and real-time information being pushed to you, so that if you're a relationship manager, an account manager, a customer success manager, you know what's going on in your accounts and their industry even before they are even aware of it. So that you can just look like a super relationship manager. And you know, AI, you know, broadly speaking, has many different applications. Whether that's seeing the type of content that your prospects or your customers are engaged with, or are tending to spend time on. You know, that can be tracked and monitored so that your sellers can speak to the points of interest that your clients are spending time investigating, versus having much, you know, broader conversations that don't create much value. Eamonn, I want to thank you very much for sharing your experiences. Roger, if you're there, can I we've got another question here from one of the attendees. Can you share some examples of how AI can be used and applied to recruiting industries?
Sure. You know, there's a few different ways. You know, if you look at the recruiting industry as a whole, a lot of the junior recruiters, or even recruiters, they chase job postings. And if you can imagine all the recruiters out there chasing job postings, it's difficult to differentiate yourself. So by leveraging something like AI, number one, leverage the companies that you're trying to place your people into, number one, and you'll be able to, as we talked about, increase the addressable market, you know, by some 20% or so. But secondarily, what if you could find, instead of chasing job postings, you could find companies that received funding, and part of that funding is being used to expand or hire. There's one. Maybe somebody's announced they're opening new offices, you know, or relocating from California to New York, let's say. Chances are they're not going to relocate the whole office. They're going to hire in the New York area. So there's a bunch of things that you can do that are trigger-based, leveraging AI to pull that type of information in and make yourself that much stronger as a recruiter. And the last thing I'll say is, you know, if you look at a layoff, you know, a company has a major layoff, and that's in the press, and we pick it up through a press release or another way. If you were able to find that layoff and then find the HR director or the, you know, CHRO of that company and say, hey, listen, I just read the article that you're having that layoff. I would love to set up a career center in your cafeteria or whatever the case may be, and help those people, those outplaced workers, find work and make this a, you know, not a total negative thing, but a positive thing. So there's many different ways a recruiter could leverage AI and you know, differentiate themselves.
Cool. Thank you, Roger. Gerhard, do you have any closing comments or remarks or questions we can take from the audience at all?
Absolutely. A number of very detailed questions that we can go quickly through, and if anybody has more questions, slap them in now. Does the tool have a way of refining searches for looking at X types but not do the Y types, or is this one size fits all?
Roger, would you answer that?
If I think I'm understanding the question, I mean, you do have the ability, I showed that combination search where you could search on one thing and add another term. It is endless how many things you can do to refine, but, you know, for instance, if you were looking for manufacturing, but you didn't want consumer manufacturing or something like that, you could search on manufacturing and say not consumer. And pull a list back. If that answers the question, I'm not sure if it does, but yes, you have the capability of doing that.
Roger, this is for you as well. Can you sort by job title?
Absolutely. So the great thing is you have a free-form text area. So if you're trying to find facilities people, for instance, the machine learning knows that you're trying to find facilities. So they'll pull in everything from facility to facilities, but you know, whether that's fleet manager or fleet management, you can free text put in any title you want and pull back a result.
Tell us more about, somebody says, great product, great data source coverage. What types of data sources, web scraping or Uber, ZoomInfo, do you use, and what depth of coverage, consequently, do you have for Asia Pacific region, kind of early Australia?
You know, the beautiful thing about this, and I touched upon this a little earlier, is, you know, most organizations, for good or bad, they're leveraging people, partnerships, and technology, meaning, you know, there could potentially be an offshore firm that you have 500 to 1,000 people, and they're scraping the web, and they're doing all the things they need to do to pull in data and stuff like that. We're able to do this almost exclusively through technology. So all the information that comes in is coming in from the web, from press releases, social media, so on and so forth. So we start with a seed file of 160 million companies spread across 212 countries. So you will be able to see very quickly what the coverage is in Asia Pac or any country for that matter, just by doing a quick search in the database. But we are represented across the entire globe.
How is that service different from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, DNB, a wider net, thanks to social media and web searches?
I guess I can take that too. So when you look at a company like LinkedIn, which is a great tool, they have roughly, from last numbers I heard, they have about 2 million companies. Granted, they have a great contact database. Within our database, as I just said, there's 160 million companies where we start with the file and leverage the AI to build these records. Invariably, because we have a bigger universe of companies, if you're doing that keyword search, and we gave the examples of e-commerce and retail and click and collect, if you're doing all those things and you're searching on 160 million companies for, let's say, e-commerce, you're going to get more results than if you searched on e-commerce on 2 million companies. So the other great thing that you'll learn when you hopefully see a demo is there is a frame-in of a Google search. There is a frame-in of a LinkedIn search, so you can still stay within one platform and realize all the great things that you can get from some of those other tools.
Yeah, I think that's, if I may add to that, Roger, is Matt here. You know, one of the things that, you know, people like Pete and Eamonn have shared with us is the fact that Companybook provides your salesperson with an all-in-one environment. You know, they don't have to be jumping off to, you know, 6 or 7 different web sources to be able to gather the information that they need to make an insightful outreach, or, you know, an insightful, you know, keeping in contact, store this information about your company if they're a relationship manager. So it's all about keeping your salespeople in one environment, making them more effective, more efficient, and our experience shows that you can save about as much as 75% of your research time for your sales organization using a tool using artificial intelligence.
Does it link with any CRM system?
Yeah, currently today it is integrated within Salesforce.com. You just need to have a minimum of professional edition with API enabled. But there is a CSV export capability, so as long as your CRM takes a CSV or Excel file, you can integrate that way. But right now, today, Salesforce is live and working beautifully.
Yeah, keep the questions coming. They're really amazing. Somebody just made a comment, I suppose. Another thing to ask is what hasn't changed in the sales process? Report building, getting referrals, and I like Nancy's view on the how do we need to move forward as sales leaders and preserve the old tried and proven habits and not let that atrophy with the advent of great new technology. Any thoughts, Nancy?
Well, I think it comes back to, again, just, you can't do what something like Companybook and AI allows you to do without it. I mean, you just can't. You can't physically do it. And so if you want to maintain a competitive edge and you want to even separate yourself even more from your competitors, you've got to find these types of advantages. And, it's not hard to do. This is one of those tools and technologies that's really super easy to deploy. It's not like you have to have a big IT department or have to have some big rollout or implementation. So you can really benefit from it quickly. And I think it's one of those tools that should be sort of a no-brainer for any organization that wants to keep their costs down and increase their revenue significantly.
I think another way to think about it, in my view, is, and I totally agree with Nancy, that we need to, as new technology comes in, we also need to upgrade the know-how of salespeople perpetually, because the new technology demands a different mindset, to be open to what is new and to have the courage to change so we can perform at higher levels. So as technology performs at higher level, we need to make sure that people perform at a higher level. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I heard once that chance favors the prepared man. I don't know who said it, but I love the line because, when you are trying to get past all the status quo out there as a salesperson, you're looking for opportunity. You're not looking for contacts. You're looking for opportunity, and that opportunity could be a new office opening, it could be a funding announcement, it could be a relocation, it could be any of those things. And the point is if you can get them somewhere with volume, and you can get enough of them to call on, you're going to be prepared, and chance will be yours.
And another way to state it is that as we get more artificial intelligence, we need to drive out the organic intelligence that our salespeople bring to the job. Another question is, does AI have the ability to adapt over time? A great question. For instance, our ideal customer was once a smaller tech company, but now our success is with larger software-specific companies.
Yeah, thanks, Gerhard. I love that question. So the answer is yes. One of the wonderful applications of AI is that it can monitor the behavior of your salespeople as they actually use the tool. So the AI, I'm a huge book reader, and I love to use Amazon's recommendation engine to serve me up, other like topics that will be of interest to me. Well, machine learning basically tracks the activity of the salesperson in a tool like Companybook. And as it sees that your needs are changing, that you're starting to look at different types of company, if you look at company A, the tool will then actually suggest if you are interested in company A, you may also like company B, because there's algorithms in the background that basically saying triangulating, going same revenue range. The way they talk or describe themselves on the web, both public and hidden, is very similar. So let's work smarter and not harder, and serve up other like companies that would match your sweet spot or your ideal customer profile. So absolutely, it's cognitive and it's learning as it's being used.
I think there's another question that you would be well suited to respond, because this listener brings up an ethical question. What about prospects' sense of privacy? AI seems so powerful, it might be too much of a good thing. So where are the boundaries?
So that's an interesting question, and I'm, I guess it's we take the point of view that AI is tethered. It's designed to do a specific task and to make that simpler, easy, more effective and efficient. So I think we have a responsibility as builders of this technology to make sure that it's applied for good. Ultimately, our stated intent, our why as a company, I think we touched on it there, and where's my next opportunity coming from? Salespeople are creators of growth. When salespeople prosper, your clients prosper, we create growth in the economy. So it's a kind of philosophical question there, but I think it's incumbent on us as the builders of artificial intelligence to make sure that it is applied for good and positive purposes. I hope I addressed that.
The next question is, how do I make a case in my company for artificial intelligence so that I can roll it out to my sales team?
Fabulous. That's a really, really great question. So, our clients will share that the productivity and efficiency gains can be absolutely amazing. Case studies show that up to as much as 75% of research and account management, list building time can be saved. So you can dramatically cut down the amount of time your salespeople are spent gathering information to create differentiated approaches, with insights to your clients and your prospects. The other thing here is what's so wonderful about AI, folks, is the scale of it. AI companies, we don't depend on having massive workforces that all require salaries. So it's very, very cost effective. And I think Pete and Eamonn on the call here will probably say you will probably recoup your investment in artificial intelligence by just selling one deal that the tool can tee up for you. So the business case for this is days and maybe weeks, but certainly not months. You can get one deal for it, it's paid for itself. I hope I answered your question, Gerhard.
I might add to that.
Sure.
You talked about significantly reducing the amount of time that it takes to do all of this research, and that gets back to selling time.
Yes.
We know that the average kind of B2B percent of time that's spent actually selling and engaging with prospects and customers is 35%. So when you think about what is the impact, sure, if you get one more deal, that's easy to justify. But how much is it going to actually increase your time spent selling? If you go from 35 to say 50% now that you're now able to spend selling, that's not a 15-point gain.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a 43% gain.
Right.
So it doesn't take a big move of a needle to really get a big ROI on this kind of thing.
I think that gives me an excellent segue to remind the audience that the people at Companybook, they're not shy. They're happy to demo that for you, and so you get a first-hand view on how fast this is, how effective it is, and what the true capabilities are, and how, you can use your real company data. And you actually, when you schedule a demo, you get a $25 Amazon gift certificate. So how do people take advantage of that?
Just go ahead if you want to just have them. Oh, so hi everybody. If you're on this webinar, we're going to go ahead and shoot out a quick email and give you the link for the demo. So hope you can find the time to join us and give us your keywords and things that you look for specific to your
Challenge us.
Please do challenge us. If you go to the home page, companybook.us, you will see a button that says challenge us, and we would love to have your feedback.
And there are still a few questions that we don't have time for, but we'll answer them by email. We have recorded this call today, and it will be available tomorrow on sellingpower.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day. And I hope that this was informative, and tune in soon to another Selling Power webinar. Thank you.